this video, I will discuss SAML configuration in Liferay and provide an overview of this concept. Let's explore how to configure SAML with Liferay in this video. First, we must know about what is SAML and its components. SAML is a secure authentication for your Liferay portal with a lot of advantage. Here we explore what is SAML, key benefits of SAML, components of SAML, and also how SAML is work. Introduction to SAML. Security Assertion Markup Language, that is called SAML, is a XML-based standard for exchanging authentication and authorization data between parties, primarily used for single sign-on authentication. SAML enables secure communication between identity provider and service providers in distributed computing environment. Benefits of SAML. SAML enhances security through single sign-on. SAML has advanced feature of single log-off. It has simplified user authentication and authorization process, seamless integration with various identity providers. Components of SAML. Identity provider. An identity provider is a system that authenticate and provide identity information for user accessing application or service. Service provider. A service provider is a system or entity that hosts application or service across by user depending on identity providers for authentication and authorization. A user. A user is individual or entity who interact with the application or service provided by service providers, often authentication by identity provider. SAML workflow. User access the service provider, that is called Liferay portal. Service provider redirect user to identity provider for authentication. Identity provider authenticates user. Identity provider generates SAML assertion. User is redirected back to the service provider with SAML assertion. Service provider validate the SAML assertion and generate access. Let's move to the Liferay instance for SAML configuration. I have two Liferay instance that is running on different IP address. First is running on the port this, and here I'm logging with administration. Go to control panel and go to SAML admin. Here we have to select is this instance is identity provider or service provider. We use this instance as service provider. Then enable this option entity ID. We have entity ID whatever we want, but the same identity ID we have to put in our identity provider. Then click on save. Here is certificate of privacy key. We have simply generated with simple configuration, that is common name, organization unit, state, country, and a key password that we have to remember in future. Okay, then we have to add a new identity provider. I have added previously. You can add from here. Go to journal, name as my service identity provider name is Dipanshu, and the entity ID is SAML IP. I have to enable this option and scroll down. Metadata URL. We can find this metadata URL from the IP of our identity provider, and name identifier, that is email ID that we put in identity provider, and click on save. This configuration is for our service provider. Let's see the users of here. Here lots of users. Okay, let's move up to our another IP address, that is 28. Go to control panel, server admin. We have to SAML role as identity provider and entity ID as SAML IP that we are using service provider, and click on save. Click on service provider connection. I have already added. You can add from here there. Name as Dipanshu and entity ID as service SAML SP. Enable this option and scroll down metadata URL for our service provider. Name identifier is same as our we are use in our identity provider, and name attribute name is same as the here we are use, and click on attribute enable and choose these properties, that is called first name, last name, and email address, screen name, and UUID. Try to type these properties manually and click on save. Let's move to the users. Here we have 3 users with Dipanshu, Rohan, and test. We are use Rohan for SAML configuration. Change the password of Rohan. Okay, I have remembered the Rohan's password. So let's move to our service provider. Log out from here. And log in with Rohan. It will redirect to the identity provider and redirect back to our service provider with a new user that is called Rohan, and here we have to password recovery question answers that we are using first time user login. Here you can see this is service provider and Rohan is login here. You can see Rohan in users. Here I have to log in with administration. You can see Rohan is added automatically in our service provider, that is called SAML, and Rohan with this user we can single sign on with the help of SAML. Thank you for watching this video.